decisions and to serve customers in a better way. Then explore newer business model and revenue stream we talked about briefly. For example, discoms are selling the prosumers energy products like solar panel, solar thermostats, or selling energy services like rooftop solar installation, maintenance of the solar installation, and so on. In fact, in many countries today, utilities are now engaged in selling both energy and non-energy product and services. Now, the regulatory compliance, sending the maintaining the environmental norms is very important, because if you are a defaulter, this will attract a huge penalty. And also along with it, the data privacy and data security is also very important that utility must be taking a focus on. And finally, drive operational efficiency by automating the processes, adopting new technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, blockchain, etc. So this is what is the global view. Now, if you look into shift our focus to Indian utilities, you observe kind of similar trends here as well. So you find that decarbonization drive in India is through huge implementation of the renewable energy resources. As you all know, India is committed for a renewable energy targets of 175 gigawatt by 2022. The decentralization drive is again mainly through implementation of the solar rooftop program. India aims to install around 40 gigawatt of solar rooftop by 2022. On the electric vehicle program, Government of India launched the National Electricity Mobility Mission, and many of the state governments has also launched their own EV policies. I think, in my view, in next 3 to 5 years period, India will poised to have several electric cars on the road, which will have a genuine impact on the major change in the auto fuel pattern in the country. Then there is a huge plan to mass scale rollout of smart prepayment meters, where India is now planning for a rollout of prepayment meters to its entire 25 crores of the consumer base. Never before in the world the smart metering program in this volume and scale has been conceptualized or implemented so far. Then there are next level of reforms in terms of segregation of carriage and content, open access and distribution. These are all in the talking. People are thinking seriously to adopt that. And then finally, the empowered consumers. Now, with the kind of digital access and digital penetration that is happened in India, and also with the smart meters being implemented at the consumers' houses, Indian utilities will have to face much more informed and empowered customers, which will be having their changing demand and requirement. And this is further, I think, reinforced with the latest electricity right to consumer rules, which is proposed by Ministry of Power. I'll briefly talk about some of the key industry programs and government initiatives in the power sector in India in recent times and also in the near future. It starts with the RAPDRP program, which starts in 2009 and ends at 2014 kind of themes, which actually improve the AT&C loss figure, automate the meter to cash process, automate the metering, billing, collection, and customer services process, and so on. Now, the national average of AT&C loss figure has improved from 38% level in 2009 to around 22% level after the end of the RAPDRP program. So this is the RAPDRP. If you talk about the next program, which is Integrated Power Development Scheme or IPDS, which was introduced in 2016. So along with system strengthening of DISCOM network, IPDS also focused on ERP implementation at state DISCOMs. It has also a view to improve the operational excellence and to automate the back office functions of the DISCOMs. So the IPDS program is almost on the verge of completion. I believe more than 90 to 95% funds has already been disbursed out of this program, right? Then the next one, I briefly talked about smart prepayment meter rollout to cover the entire consumer base in the next 4 to 5 years. If you look the objective, again, the objective here is to improve the AT&C loss, to improve billing and collection efficiency, to ensure cash flow, by adopting prepayment meters and so on. Then the next big, initiative is the electricity right to consumer rules that has been passed only in December last year, which will also provide a lot of improvement in the customer services, because there are SLA driven services. SLA maintain the new connection, to maintain the power quality, outage, the customer complaint redressal, and so on and so forth. So I believe there will be a lot of focuses in coming years because of the rules that has been invoked in the country, right? Privatization of state discoms. This is also one of the major focus. I think Finance Minister has announced that in 2020, mentioning the privatization of United Territory, right? Now, once any of the implementation has been successful, a template is available, I believe that can be rolled out to other state discoms. Again, the focus is to reduce the financial burden of the discoms, reduce the AT&C loss, and bring operational efficiency. And then, this is a future program, separation of carriage from the content. This is, I think, for last 3 to 4 years period, it is in the consideration of the forum of regulators. There are a lot of challenges, political challenges and otherwise coming up to introduce these particular things. But if it is implemented, it will be a definitely a very huge change in the policy, because it will open up and start a retail contestable electricity market. So this is basically what I just found, that to provide you a view of the government initiatives and programs. Now, with all these changes, transitions, the disruptions that we have talked about, the key emerging trends appear in the industry. Is some of them are mentioned here. For example, solar farm operation, wind farm operation, microgrid operation. These are all linked to the renewable energy program. Electric charging infrastructure operation, vehicle to grid integration, that is part of the bigger electric vehicle program. Virtual plant, this is also gaining popularity, where a cloud-based interconnected distributed energy of various kind will act as a complete integrated reliable power source. The next level after smart metering implementation is probably home area network and home automation services. In the form of, say, for example, load limiting capacities, programmable and smart thermostats, which can limit the load of for the customers, and that has been installed within the premises of the customer, right? We have talked about grid scale storage operation. This would be the form of, say, pump storage or lithium ion batteries. There are a lot of technological advance in the battery technology right now, or flywheel capabilities to support the grid storage, grid level storage part, right? Then I'm not talking about everything. So, for example, UAV, which is the unmanned aerial vehicles, or drone-based asset inspection, specially employed for transmission lines and transmission towers. We have already seen the usage of these, already in India. Then we discussed on smart metering and prepaid metering. So, in a nutshell, what I try to focus here, that in the current times or in the near future, there are a lot of upcoming changes, and the way we are seeing the normal age-old electricity business is going to be impacted, right? Now, this particular slide actually talks about and emphasizes the effect of decentralization. Now, we talked about decentralization when the central power plant located away from the load center is been replaced by the distributed energy resources. Now, what it does, distributed energy resources in the forms of solar mills, windmills, say, for example, mini or micro hydros, and so on. So it will have an entire impact on the network infrastructure and topology. And just if you look into the from grid management point of view, earlier the grid managers need to have a centralized control, centralized monitoring, management of the grid. Now it is shifting towards a control of a slowly towards control of a localized management of smaller networks through microgrids or through community control mechanism, right? So this is clearly a disruption if you look into the grid management point of view. Here again, continuing this discussion, here again, we can see the huge disruption in terms of, handling capabilities of data due to smart meter implementation. So this is really a real life example of our customer BC Hydro, which is based out of Canada. During pre-smart meter period, they need to read around 30,000 meter data per day. Currently, with the implementation or adoption of smart meters for part of their consumer base, they are currently reading 237 million meter data per day. And in future, when they have actually implemented and roll out the smart meters across the entire 2 million of their consumer base, they are going to read around 678 million meter data per day. So you see the the level of data growth here. So in terms of storage, the management, if you want to crunch the data to obtain some meaningful business insight, this is a mammoth challenging task, and which can already be addressed if you deploy appropriate technologies and tools. So with smart meters rollout program in India, I believe Indian discoms will also face similar challenge and need to cope up with the help of appropriate platform and technology. So in all these examples, it is clear that data and information are playing a major role. So here in this particular slide, you see we have mapped energy against the value over time. Now, when a country has achieved the energy sufficiency, like India, we have just achieved energy sufficiency, though we are deficit in terms of power sufficiency, but we are already achieved energy sufficiency. The incremental value of energy addition, incremental value of energy addition is diminishing over time. But the value of information or data is becoming very prominent, as it is important, to effectively use this information to support the business outcome and to come out a new business model or new revenue stream for the utilities. So the age-old traditional kilowatt business of utilities is now shifting towards a kilobyte business. So this is exactly, we'll call the data-driven business. Now, to further enhance the concept of the data-driven business, now for the utilities, it shows that today utilities need to handle data from different sources. For example, some of them are from the IT sources, like asset data, customer data. Some of them are from the operational technology sources, like sensor data or smart metering AMI data. In certain cases, utilities also need to handle data from other sources, like weather data, if you really want to have load forecasting, or social media data if you want to analyze the sentiment analysis or something like that. So you need really different kind of platform so that the platform can handle this data. This could be from the IT data, IT sources, OT sources, any third-party sources, and in terms of nature, it could be structured data or unstructured data, and so on and so forth. Now, if so, the traditional IT cannot actually manage this task. So you need a new platform where the data from all these sources can be crunched and proper to come out with a proper business intelligence. With the platform capability, now utility can actually do asset health management, say predictive maintenance for some of their critical assets, demand response management, load forecasting, that could be short-term, mid-term, or long-term forecasting, profiling of the customers, to come out with a newer product or newer tariff plan for the customers, leakage and fraud detection, and so on and so forth. So, this particular when you talk about SAP offers this new platform in the form of HANA, which is truly a real-time data platform, which supports data integration from varied source, be it IT data, OT data, structured data, unstructured data, streaming data, and so on, right? Based on this platform capability, SAP also provides a comprehensive architecture for utilities, which is called SAP Intelligent Enterprise Architecture. Now, it starts with the unified, business process intelligence, enabling the process improvement, process automation, and process innovation for utilities, right? At the core of this strategy is the intelligent suite of application, which takes care the entire end-to-end requirement of enterprises, be it manages its customers, its products, its services, IT, finance, etc. And as you know, this intelligent suite of application is been termed as SAP S/4HANA core solution, right? It is joined by industry cloud applications from SAP and also from SAP's partner organization. This particular industry cloud solution provides a very verticalized and innovative applications, and definitely it proves a very differentiating business value for the industry, for the utilities industry. For example, we have shown here e-mobility charge point operations, non-commodity services and products, energy data hubs. This is part of the examples of the industry cloud solution, right? Then there are experience management, which helps utilities to evaluate and act on key stakeholders. Now, key stakeholders like utilities customers, partners, employee sentiment, which is very important to understand, because based on this sentiment, you can take some right decisions in your business operation, right? Then the business technology platform, which actually delivers a uniform master data layer. It also offers a data management, the analytical capability by turning data into business insight, and then it also brings the extension capability, which enterprise can scale, extend, and innovate, right? And finally, we talk about the business network, which is basically beyond the boundary of the organization or utilities, to collaborate with its partners, like their suppliers, its logistics service provider, it asset OEM partners, and so on and so forth. So, and this entire architecture can be deployed on cloud in a SAP data center or hyperscaler infrastructure, right? So SAP's intelligent enterprise architecture definitely provides the appropriate path for for the utilities to optimize and transform their business processes, so that they can scale, they can extend, they can innovate, and quickly adapt to disruption, which is important, and stay competitive in the market. So probably in sometimes in the next session, in another date, we can have a detailed discussion of each of these components of the intelligent enterprise framework. Today I stop at this point. We'll now invite my colleague Anupam Garg to take you to the next section. Thank you very much. Anupam, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Somnath. If you can unshare the screen.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you, Somnath. Just in fact, putting the our idea of SAP on the intelligent enterprise, and as you rightly said, we will take one by one. And today we'll be talking more on the intelligent asset management. Yeah. Just tell me if my screen is visible to everybody.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You can go in presentation mode. Yeah. Now. Yeah.
So, in fact, I love the question from Niti Wahi. In fact, when he or she highlighted that there is a great intervention of IoT is happening on the asset management area. Yeah. So that is a topic I had taken, and I'll be touching on this in next 15-20 minutes, and just I'll give the brief upon that. What is the thinking of SAP in this area? Because every customer here on this call, they are using the enterprise asset management. Okay. But the way the technology has advanced in the last 7-8 years, 10 years, we as SAP has also advanced our portfolio. And in fact, we are having a thinking much ahead. I mean, what customer expects out of SAP. So that is the whole idea of talking about the SAP solution in this area. Okay, that is of the enterprise asset management. So the priority, if we see in this industry, as Somnath has talked about, that there is a lot of digitalization is happening in this industry, and the assets, if you see in your organization, the cost, I mean, if I straightway talk about the cost, it is around 10 to 20% goes into the operation and the maintenance cost. Obviously, it also includes the R&M spares and all. Okay, that I'm mainly talking about the thermal generation. Yeah, but the priorities, if we see from in that asset management area, is that people want to move from the routine or a preventive maintenance to the predictive and the prescriptive maintenance. Yeah, so moving out from the corrective and the preventive maintenance, so we need to maintain the asset only when it's needed. Yeah, so that is one shift. The another shift is more on the efficiency side, where the maintenance personnel, the technicians, the employees who are working in the operation and the maintenance area, how can they be always in touch, okay, with the control center or with the assets which they are operating, governing, or maintaining. Yeah, so how the technology can help them in viewing that maintenance, I mean the condition of that asset on their mobile, on their devices. So stay connected is something, a second area of priority. The third, obviously, the maintenance cost, because once you have a complete visibility on the maintenance, you can really chalk down the strategies, okay, whether we need to now refurbish, we need to augment, we need to replace, right? So all these strategies are actually governed by having a complete transparency on the maintenance cost. And last one is that because a lot of commercialization of those age-old technology, which was only limited into the engineering side, now it has come into the operation and the maintenance side. And the biggest thing is that the replica of that asset which you have in the field, okay, that you can have in your offices, in your I mean at your workplace. So the whole concept of creating a digital twin and then doing all kind of modeling. The modeling can be the machine learning based, it can be structural modeling, which is more around the engineering simulation, okay, which used to happen in the R&D department, but now they had come on the maintenance shop floor, in fact, I'll say, right? So you how you can utilize this digital twin concept in your asset management area. So these are, I mean, few of the priority area, and all these things had emerged because there is I mean, the technology is getting cheaper, I would say. I mean, in a straight terms, the sensors are getting cheaper, okay, and that is a story since last 5-6 years. So the whole concept of Internet of Things, it is all because the sensors getting cheaper, the connectivity getting stronger, the bandwidths are getting cheaper. So the Internet of Things is a phenomena which has come into this area. Second is the artificial intelligence and the machine learning, because we are seeing these, I mean, the cloud computing has come at the center stage. Now the CPUs, the storage, I mean, any kind of hardware is now getting cheaper. So now you can process a lot of data. So that capability had reached to the organization, okay, which was only available in the institutions earlier, or I mean, add to the restricted places in the organization. Third is around, as I talked about, the simulation, okay, real-time engineering simulation. So it has come out from the engineering to the operation side. And then how can we also leverage the other I mean, the high techs, like the virtual reality or the augmented reality in our day-to-day workplace, okay, to visualize those assets, to connect to the I mean, the remote personnel who is not there at a place. So all these enablers are actually making this happen. And a few of the marquee analysts had also done a lot of study on that, and they see a direct impact on the bottom line of the organization, where they had actually come out with all the studies where the POCs or the pilots or the production and I mean the production usage had happened in this area, that around 20 to 30% reduction in the maintenance cost is straightway possible if we are able to adopt this, right? And then at the same time, it will also help in reducing the downtime, improving the availability of the assets, and then obviously it will help us to sweat the asset properly, so that we can get the more output, more production, more energy production from the assets which we have. If we talk from the asset lifecycle perspective, and if we see the process areas like investment to commission, right? So that is where the organizations start with that. Now we need to augment, or we need to create new facility, or we need to invest into the asset side, right? So that's where the investment to commission is a process area where the whole host of activity, the processes which will take care of the investment management, the budget planning, the project management side. So if you see on the screen, so investment to commission is one process area. The another process area is build the digital twin. Yeah. And these yellow marked items are our SAP solutions, right? So project intelligence network and the asset intelligence network. So project intelligence network is like, it's like a Facebook for the people who are involved into the project activity, right? So right from the EPC people, the contractor, the customer or the client itself, or the PMC or a PMA, they will be able to collaborate on one platform, okay, during that project life cycle, okay, and that the name we had given, the project intelligence network. Okay, same way we have the asset intelligence network. Okay, once the project gets commissioned, okay, that actually becomes an asset for the organization, right? And during the asset maintenance phase, the relevant stakeholders, operator themselves, or the people who are owning, so the OEMs who had supplied these assets, or the service provider who are involved in the maintenance of these assets. So this is again a Facebook of assets and the related parties or the related stakeholder, okay, where they can collaborate. It is not only the collaboration. In fact, if they allow to view the information related to that asset, this application will help the operators or the OEMs to do the benchmarking of the assets which they are using, right? Take a case, if the BHL turbine is being used at NTPC, in the 50 power stations of NTPC, right? And if they want to benchmark same machine, okay, which is being used in the different power station, okay, this will be a solution, okay, which can give that visibility, right? And then same thing can be extended to the OEM like BHEL, okay? And like if BHEL has that visibility, they can take the corrective action in their, in their engineering side, okay, by improving or optimizing the next level of the operational efficiency of those turbines, right? So now we as SAP has gone beyond to the enterprises, and we are bringing all the relevant people at one platform, okay, so that they can learn from each other, and then at the end of the day, it will be helping everybody. Yeah. In this phase, investment to commission, you might have heard about our offering on the portfolio and the project management. S4 HANA, it is the new generation of ERP. I'll be concentrating on build the digital twin, where once this collaborative tool is set up, then you also need to have one application where you need to maintain the asset data. Okay, so once the project gets conceptualized, at that time you have the data as designed or as conceptualized, right? And the way you commission, okay, it becomes the data as commissioned. Okay, because from concept to commissioning, okay, there are a lot of changes. Okay, there are a lot of changes on the engineering side, and once the commissioning had happened, the asset will go into the maintenance side. Okay, so as designed, as commissioned, as operated, and then if like further augmentation or the refurbishment is happening, so asset information workbench will allow to maintain or have the single source of data, and then it will also give you a complete visibility that what had happened over the period of time on that particular machine or the equipment. Yeah. The processes in this cycle are around the asset risk and the criticality assessment, and then implementation of the asset maintenance strategy. These are very important to change the asset maintenance strategy. Okay, because depending on the criticality, depending on the risk, the operator needs to keep on changing the maintenance strategy. So there has to be an application where all the next level or the advanced tools, okay, which are around the reliability centered maintenance, or the FMA, the failure mode, and the effect analysis, or like any other scheme or the strategy which they want to apply, it can be enabled on this platform, which is asset strategy and the performance management. Now we'll move to the next phase, and we had gone into the operate and the maintenance side, okay, where the IoT platform or the IoT applications will enable the ITOT connectivity, because we are able to give the almost the real-time data related to condition of that asset. Okay, we can do the condition monitoring, condition monitoring, the remote monitoring, the fault pattern recognition, and we can really have a complete view of the asset health on this application, which is the predictive asset insight. Okay, so this is the platform where, in fact, we had provided few of the models, the machine learning models for a few of the equipments, where you can really do, you can only need to get the data so that the application can do the fault pattern recognition itself. Yeah. And then once the health has been assessed, and if there is any problem, then the application should be able to create the maintenance notification or the work order or the maintenance order. Okay, so that now it can be taken for execution. Yeah. And once that order gets created, depending on the availability of the technicians, the personnel, we need to schedule this order for the maintenance, and because the personals are scattered, okay, they are in field, okay, there has to be a capability that they can access these data, these documents from the devices where they are. Okay, and they will be doing the confirmation of the result in the ERP system, which is S4 HANA. And we also need to have a capability during the O&M phase, where we need to maintain them in a safe manner, okay, more from the employee safety perspective or the technician safety perspective. We should be able to record all the incidents which is being observed by the people at the work area, and then the capabilities have to be there where they can really go for the lockout, tag out kind of processes from the system itself, or the cold permit or the hot permit. So all these capabilities are being provided from our portfolio, which is environment, health, and safety. Yeah. Now moving to the next phase of the asset life cycle, this is the decommissioning. During the decommissioning also, I mean, people need to plan it as a project, okay? And so the whole, the whole life cycle goes the way we have done the project commissioning. Same way we need to make a project. There the capabilities of the portfolio and the project management will be used. The important thing I wanted to highlight here, the asset retirement obligation, okay, because as per the accounting standard, the assets which are going for the decommissioning, the operator or the companies need to plan in advance the fund requirement, okay, which will be there at the time of the at the time of the decommissioning. So we have a add-on solution with the name of asset retirement obligation, okay, which sits on top of the SAP financials, okay, so that the accounting of this can happen every year, and the compliance to the Indian accounting standard gets complied. Yeah. So this is in the nutshell the picture of the complete asset life cycle, and these are the new solutions which we have talked about. In that subsequent slide, I'll be talking about the intelligent asset management portfolio. The way Somnath had put the thought around the intelligent enterprise, the intelligent asset management is part of that. Okay, and it is intelligent because now we are using the capability of these technologies which are there with us, and how can we really help employees to maintain these assets in a more effective way, in a more efficient way. And then at the end of the day, we need to increase the uptime of the asset. Okay, we need to reduce the maintenance cost, and we need to provide the better service to the consumer. Because if I talk about the electricity, the nation's drive is around providing us the cheap carbon-free power, but it has to be a reliable power, right? And that's where the asset management plays a very big role. So under this, the capabilities are around the collaborative process with the business partners. Okay, so as I talked previously, we have created a capability of creating those networks. How can we really integrate those maintenance and the service process and the data so that we can keep on revising or revisiting our maintenance strategy, and then quickly we can deploy them and then adopt them? How can we leverage the IoT, the IoT technology, so that we can connect with the asset, so that we can move from preventive or corrective maintenance to the predictive and the prescriptive maintenance? How can we really plan and schedule our resources? The maintenance personnel, the material, all the service provider, okay, so that we can really do the optimization on that part. And then the last is around the environment, health, and safety. In my next slide, I'll be just summing up all these solutions which are encompassing this intelligent asset management. So the SAP Asset Intelligence Network will provide the capability around the asset network and the collaboration. The SAP asset strategy and the performance management will take care of the strategy and the performance management, where you can change your strategies dynamically. The predictive asset insight is, will help you to assess the asset health. As Somnath has talked about, that now we'll be having, already we have the proliferation of the distributed energy resources, the solar and the wind plant. So how can we remotely monitor them? How can we optimize the whole production out of that? But apart from that, how can we really maintain them, okay, properly, so that they are available when the sun is hot or the wind is blowing. So that's where the whole concept of the asset health prediction and the optimization comes in play. And we are providing that capability with our solution, which is predictive asset insight. The mobile asset management is a solution which gives capability to access the data from anywhere, from any device, so that the maintenance personnel should not be there in the office to do any kind of job. Okay, they can access all the information from the mobile device. The planning and scheduling is a capability which will be enabled by these applications. The field service management and the resource scheduling, and then the execution and the reporting. Everybody would have heard about the linear asset management. The linear asset management will help to model the linear asset, specifically that is applicable for the transmission and the distribution company or the CGD company. So rather than having a static asset, now you can model the whole pipeline or the whole whole transmission line. And then we have a solution, the geographical enablement framework, which comes with out of the box integration with the GIS software, which is ESRI, and then the whole portfolio around the EHS, the work clearance management and the management of change. So with this slide, I wanted to give the overview of the asset management portfolio, and in our subsequent events or interaction, we'll be talking each of these solutions in detail. Today I wanted to give overview, and like if anybody in the audience wants to have any question around that, or if they want to explore more, each of these solution, they can be in touch. Yeah. So with this, I'll be handing over to my colleague Mohan Gupta. He'll be talking more on a very exciting topic in this industry, that's the electric mobility. So with this, wish you good luck to everybody. Okay, have a good day. Mohan, over to you, please.
Thanks, Anupam. Anupam, can you unshare your screen, please, so that I can see behind? Perfect. Thank you. Let me just see if this works. Just a quick check. You're able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Anupam. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. Thanks a lot for joining this session. I'm really excited to present SAP's electric mobility solutions. It's an upcoming revolution for sure. And for next 30 minutes, we'll talk about the impact e-mobility is having over the industry, and what is SAP's strategy going forward for e-mobility solutions, and how we see this changing the landscape for utilities industry, and also other sectors, other industries as well. So a little bit about myself. My name is Mohan Gupta. I'm regional lead for utilities business in SAP for Asia Pacific Japan, based out of India, New Delhi. And I've been with SAP for 15 plus years in various roles. And in my current role, I'm responsible for go-to-market business development, demand generation, partner enablement, and adoption of SAP solutions across the region. Okay, so that's about myself. So if we look at the electrification of mobility, it is having an impact across multiple sectors of the economy. It's not just utilities. So there's huge impact on the way automotive industry works. It is leading to large transformation programs in the automotive sector from business models point of view. And of course, as citizens, as residents of our countries and regions, the way we deal with our social networks, the way we engage with our governments, public sector organizations, so everybody is having some sort of impact. So from utilities point of view, if we have to talk about the fundamental shift, so of course, as all the electric vehicles are running on electricity, so from utilities point of view, the electricity utilities, so there's a fundamental shift. So they have to be they have to provide this huge demand of electric power for the electric vehicles. So as we accelerate our adoption of EV in India, also, I think right now we only have around few thousand electric cars, but the three-wheeler penetration is much higher. We have around 2.6, 2.7 million electric three-wheelers. But as we grow, so utilities have to ramp up their business operations, their infrastructure to support this huge surge in power demand for e-mobility. Yeah? So that's the biggest impact on utilities, and they have to make sure the infrastructure is resilient and there's enough capacity in the network to support fast charging of electric vehicles. And of course, if you look at the automotive industry, so they are also heavily impacted. So they have to shift their R&D from internal combustion engines to electric engines. They have to work on the battery R&D as well to improve the density of the batteries, the charging, discharging times, and so on. So they also are relooking at their whole business model and end-to-end value chain and trying to adapt for this upcoming revolution. And of course, from future cities, smart cities point of view, with e-mobility, the hope is that we will reduce the carbon impact on the globe and we will have much more cleaner air. But it also means that for the government, for the regulatory bodies, they also have to ramp up efforts in supporting the ecosystem needed for adoption of e-mobility. So they have to work on the public charging infrastructure to support, and they also have to work on the adoption, the rebates that are needed in the industry to promote electric vehicles. And in terms of what it will lead to finally is, of course, we will see a lot more reduction in traffic congestion as a indirect consequence, but also autonomous driving will come into play with electric vehicles. So there's a good case study which says for autonomous driving, electric vehicles are much more better suited compared to the combustion engine vehicles. So autonomous driving is going to also significantly come into foreplay, and it will also reduce the number of accidents. And of course, new business models will come up around robo-taxis and so on. So if we look at the value map, the impact it will have, e-mobility. So it starts right from energy generation to the automotive OEMs. Yeah. So from generation to infrastructure, energy infrastructure, the way we are currently, the discoms are working, the energy distribution is happening. The mobility as a service model will also have a huge impact with the adoption of EVs. And of course, we will also get to see a lot of new e-mobility services coming into play with electric vehicles, and also with the renewables already penetrating the residential complexes with solar rooftop panel installations and battery walls and so on. Now with e-mobility chargers also getting installed in the residential complexes. So the home energy management systems will also have a huge impact, and they will continue to become more and more mature and complex to support bidirectional exchange of energy within the houses, with the grid, with the building societies, and so on. So it's a end-to-end impact across the value chain. So if we look from e-mobility point of view, apart from the impact on existing value chain, we are also going to see two new roles which are going to emerge out of this disruption. So the first one is, of course, the charging infrastructure operators, and we're already seeing many utilities with they're having partnership with the automotive industries and trying to set up the charging infrastructure at least in the metropolitan cities. We are already seeing that happening in India and across the globe. It has already started, and the infrastructure is being built at a very rapid pace. So this is going to introduce a new role which will be operating these charging infrastructures and making sure they are interoperable with the other technology providers, with the e-mobility service providers, utilities, etc., etc. So that's one key role which is coming up. And then, of course, from end consumer and customer point of view, as a customer, if I'm using electric vehicles, I would also need e-mobility services in terms of billing, customer complaint support, etc., etc. So for this also, we are seeing a new role which is emerging as e-mobility service provider. So now these e-mobility service providers and charge point operators, they could be existing entities as well. So utilities, automotive sector, car manufacturers, etc. They can all play the role of both charging infrastructure operators and e-mobility service providers. And of course, we will also see new entities coming up and startups coming up and getting into this business of e-mobility and performing the role of charging infrastructure operators and e-mobility service providers. So now, if we look at the market forces, what is driving the acceleration of EV penetration in our geography? So, of course, the first is the technology and the cost. So EVs, they're almost reaching price parity to the internal combustion engines. So still, I think the overall, the upfront cost of purchasing EVs is maybe, if not at par, maybe a little higher. But if you look at the overall total cost of ownership between EVs and ICE, there's already a price parity. From TCO point of view, we are already there. Yeah. And of course, another key progression that has happened is around the batteries. So batteries are getting more and more mature, and the energy density that they can hold is getting better. Their overall asset life of batteries is improving on daily basis, and of course the cost is coming down as well. So that is one major driver which is accelerating the EV penetration. The other thing which is happening is, of course, large corporates and governments are becoming more and more conscious of sustainability and decarbonization. So this is also driving the adoption of EV vehicles. If I talk about SAP itself, so we are, in European region, we are rolling out electric vehicles for our employees itself. So a lot of SAP subsidiaries in Europe, they've already started with programs for employees to purchase electric vehicles and providing the right infrastructure and support needed for charging at home, charging at work, etc. So, and this will grow. E-fleet management companies, transportation companies, corporates, they will start focusing on electric vehicles, at least for the fleet that they have in the organization. And of course, the other factor is performance. So, with electric vehicles, we are seeing autonomy is also one of the key trends. So there's a lot of research happening on making sure, we have driverless cars on the roads. And with EV penetration, this area will also significantly grow. And we will see a lot of penetration happening in this area in coming years. It's still, I believe, in my personal opinion, it is still a few years away from now, but it will eventually happen with the adoption of EVs. And of course, it's going to have impact on the number of accidents and fatalities as well. The other last key driver is the ecosystem. So of course, earlier we all had range anxiety, and we are concerned about our car getting completely discharged on the road, and there's no way for us to recharge it quickly. So that range anxiety slowly will also be taken care of with the increase in the energy density of the batteries, and also with the infrastructure. The EV charging infrastructure, it is growing at a very, very significant pace, and government is also helping us with various programs, various initiatives and policies that they are launching. So we have, I believe, by now in India, more than 10 states have already launched the final or the draft e-mobility policies, electric vehicle policies, and how they want to promote them. They're providing a lot of subsidies as well for electric vehicles. And of course, the charge point operator and e-mobility service provider role, this is also going to grow. So from a corporate or a e-fleet management company point of view, these are some of the key reasons why you would want to electrify your fleet. So of course, the first is the operating cost. As I said, we are already at parity, and going forward, the total cost of ownership for operating the electric vehicles at the corporate level is going to significantly reduce compared to internal combustion engine. So that is definitely a compelling reason from pure business point of view. And of course, then we have softer factors like sustainability. So corporates are looking for ways to reduce their total carbon footprint, and there are incentives given by the regulatory bodies and the government to the corporates to improve their sustainability index score. And so e-mobility, penetration of electric vehicles is definitely going to help corporates in this sustainability initiative. And of course, the third key compelling reason is the risk reduction. So these days, a lot of financial institutions, World Banks and other organizations, they're also becoming more and more conscious about the way corporates are conducting their energy business, and how they are, how much they are polluting the environment, and how conscious they are. And this is also having an impact on the credit line, the equity and the credit, that the fundings that the corporates get. If they are operating in a sustainable way, the banks and the financial institutes, they factor this in also in the decision making. Yeah. So that is another factor which is also driving the adoption of e-mobility. Now, if I talk from, this was about the generic situation in the industry, and how e-mobility is going to have an impact, and why corporates and individuals are looking towards it. But from SAP point of view, what we are doing. So we already have developed a solution. We call it as SAP EMobility. I will talk about it briefly in next 15 minutes, what it is, what capabilities it already has, and what is available in the future, what is going to be available in the future. But our vision, from vision point of view for SAP EMobility as a solution, so we are going to look at all the key segments of the value map. Yeah. So starting right from energy generation to automotive sector. So our e-mobility product is going to provide capabilities and business processes that are needed to support the end-to-end value chain of the e-mobility, starting right from generation. So, so just to give an example, right now our current solution is primarily focusing on the charge point operations and the e-mobility services. So this particular segment. But going forward, we have already a roadmap to also factor in the home energy management system impacts, and also we're working very closely with our automotive industry customers as well to build capabilities that are required for the automotive industry in this space. So this is going to be a kind of a platform going forward for SAP to support all the business processes, end-to-end business processes that are needed to make it work. So as I said, if we look at 30,000 feet view of our current plan for SAP e-mobility platform, so we already have a solution which takes care of smart charge point operations and also e-mobility services. From a utility company point of view, or for an automotive company point of view, if you're acting as a charge point operator or as e-mobility service provider, the key typical business processes that you would need, the capabilities you would need to provide the services to customers. They are already available in our SAP Mobility platform. And we are also working towards integrating this e-mobility solution with our existing SAP portfolio, be it the billing and finance management, the travel and expense management, and also on many other factors, asset management as well. So this is already in progress. So this is something which is already available, and going forward, of course, as I said, we will continue to work towards integrating this solution with other SAP softwares. So next in line is, of course, the billing and payments process, which will be integrated, and we already have very robust solutions available for managing the billing and tariffs and payment collections, etc. for this kind of business scenario. So we will leverage our existing solutions. And then, of course, the third key pillar where we are going to focus on the roadmap is the distributed energy resource management. So, from corporate's point of view, when they adopt electric vehicles, it's not just about one-way charging. They are looking at optimizing the whole energy operations within their organization. So, they may have solar panels, small wind farms, or battery storage systems installed in the premises. They all need to communicate and work together to manage the energy load and also the charging and discharging of the electric vehicles within the corporate fleet. So from that point of view, we are also working towards automating this distributed energy resource systems, and also the home energy management side of things also we will work in the future. So a very high level overview of the, if I may say, architecture or the component diagram of where e-mobility sits in the scheme of things. So of course, on top, we have customer data platform. So this is our customer experience channel for the customers to engage via commerce, sales, service, etc. To avail the e-mobility services from charge point operators or from e-mobility service providers. And then we have this in the middle, we have this e-mobility solution, which will manage all the charging scenarios, be it charging at home, charging at work, or having integration with the roaming partners. If corporate employee is charging his or her car on a third-party charge point operator network, how do you manage the authentication and billing process, etc.? So it will manage the end-to-end e-mobility process. And of course, we also have a e-fleet management solution for e-fleet operators to manage the vehicle inventory and operations and see real-time data on the vehicle health and so on. So they will all work together hand in hand going forward. And in the future, as I said, we will be integrating this e-mobility solution with our core strength, which is billing and invoicing capabilities, maintenance and servicing solutions that we already have in our portfolio, along with our intelligent asset management solutions that Anup talked about. So, and from automotive sector point of view, of course, vehicle connection, vehicle data is also another area where a lot of work is happening, and we will have all these end-to-end business processes developed to take care of the whole value chain. So this is the overall architecture that SAP is working towards for e-mobility platform. So as I said, it impacts multiple industries, there are many cross-industry scenarios which are emerging. Sustainability as a topic itself is huge, and there are a lot of things, a lot of activities, initiatives which are going on under sustainability. And from SAP Solutions point of view, also we have a huge program within SAP which is working towards developing solutions for sustainable business processes, be it from supply chain logistics point of view or from sustainability reporting perspective, managing the carbon dioxide emissions and giving accurate information to end consumers on the impact the products that utility company or a customer is having on the environment. And of course, the new technologies, emerging technologies in this space around V2X, I would call it, vehicle to anywhere technologies, which are emerging to supply the power back from the batteries of the cars to the grid during on-peak hours and so on. So all these intelligent energy operations and facility energy management scenarios, which cuts across multiple industries, will also be taken care of through this e-mobility platform. So if I have to just talk about few examples, the way it could work. So so this is a high level idea, and we have done few pilots internally on this regard. So as a utility company, you may be already having a lot of consumers who are purchasing power and getting your services for power supply, and as a utility you are giving them monthly or bi-monthly bills for the energy consumption. So there is a logical extension to it. So utilities are prime candidates for offering e-mobility services to the end consumers. They already have a huge consumer base, and going forward, electric mobile customers, they will need services from utilities for installing the charging infrastructure at homes or at corporate level in B2B world, operating and installing the charging infrastructure in the corporate offices and so on. So utilities can provide all these services, and going forward, they will be producing one single invoice at the end of the month for the customers which are consuming electricity at home, and also in the same invoice, utilities could also be charging the customer and producing invoice line items for the charging costs for their electric vehicles. Yeah. So whether the charging happened at home or in office or in any public charging point, be it a shopping mall, anywhere. So as an end customer, if I have a contract as an agreement with utility company as the mobility service provider, as an end customer, I don't have to worry about understanding which charging point operator is providing cheaper tariff and so on. I have a contract with my mobility service provider, and there's already agreed tariff for domestic or internal charging and roaming charging. Everything is already agreed, and no matter where you go and drive your car during the weekend and charge it, you don't have to worry about understanding the cost of charge and paying it upfront at the point of charge. You can get it as a postpaid service, and utility will provide you one single bill for both electricity consumption at home and also for the charging consumption. So these kinds of scenarios have already started emerging, and it is not easy. There are a lot of complexities involved in the tariff and the revenue models that are being worked upon. So if I have to talk about one scenario, if we say there's a utility company which is acting as e-mobility service provider for these two customers, and they have established a partnership, a collaboration with a retail chain which is having, let's say a shopping complex, a mall, kind of a space where they have a parking, and in that parking they have established electric charging infrastructure, charging stations. So as these two customers, so this customer only has direct contact with the utility, and they have agreed on the tariff, charging tariffs for various scenarios at home, at office, at public charging space, etc. So no matter where these customers drive, they will be getting the charging cost bill from the utility company. Yeah. And then utility company needs to manage the relationships and the business processes with various charge point infrastructure providers. So in this example, retail chain could be the charge point operator. Yeah. And they may have different charging stations. Some could be fast chargers with high wattage, and some could be normal charges which will take longer time, but the tariff options could be different. And then also these customers, EV customers, could also be members of the loyalty program of a certain retail chain with which utility has contract, and they may have special discounts. So these customers may get special discounts on charging their electric vehicles in the premises of this retail chain. Yeah. So all these complex scenarios need to handle, the payments need to be handled, and utility needs to reimburse the retail chain charge point operators for every charging session that its customers will have. There has to be some authentication process involved. So this is a complex model, and in future we will have many such business models which will come up, and it will get more and more mature and complex. So we need a very robust solution which can manage these complexities and consolidate and integrate all the aspects of home energy services, installation services, charging, electric charging bills, electricity consumption bills at home. Everything needs to be brought together from a customer point of view, and this is where SAP is working, and we are developing our solution. So I know we are short of time. So just to give you an example, so before we roll out this solution, SAP EMobility solution, we did a pilot within SAP premises and SAP Paris offices. So where we have set up a complex energy management system in our office premise, and we have solar panels and battery storage systems already installed, and also multiple charge point stations as well with different technologies, AC chargers, DC chargers, and so on. And our employees in SAP labs, they are adopting electric vehicles and charging their vehicles at home and offices. And we are using our own solution, EMobility solution, to manage these operations. So we are acting as charge point operator and EMobility service provider for our employees who are having electric vehicles. And this is being rolled out across multiple market units now. And this solution is also, interacting and integrating with the renewable energy sources that are installed on premise. So energy storage systems, solar panels, etc. They're all generating energy, and our solution is finding the best optimal way of, getting energy from the grid or the storage system, so that we can get the cars charged at the cheapest cost. So this is something which is already, it started in 2017, and it is already, reached a scalable enterprise level mature solution. So, and as I said, we have a very robust roadmap. So EMobility solution, it already integrates with our, travel and expense management solution for automatic reimbursement of the charging costs for the corporate employees. And also in the future, we are planning integrations with pricing and billing, payroll. Analytics is already in play. We will have it rolled out very soon. And so I will end this session. I know we are just on time, so a couple of more minutes, if that's okay with everyone, with a video on EMobility solution from SAP.
It is our pleasure to introduce SAP EMobility On Demand, an enterprise-grade solution to manage electric vehicle charge point operations.
So here I am at the office. I could see that my parking spot was available. I have parked my car and I will start charging now.
The solution includes a smartphone app for the EV driver to monitor the charging status. Electric Mobility On Demand is SAP's answer to the challenge of electrifying the transportation industry as quickly as possible. The cloud-based software provides a complete package to charge point operators to run the business effectively and efficiently. Here, you can check the status of your charging infrastructure, manage each one of your charging stations, check the details of ongoing and historical charging sessions, review a database of all the electric vehicles, and make use of powerful in-app analytics. The enterprise-grade capabilities will offer integration with SAP Concur, SAP Analytics Cloud, and S/4HANA billing and invoicing.
Oh, I just received a message. My car is fully charged now. As I'm heading back to my car, I can now see what was the total charging time, how many minutes it took me to charge my vehicle, and what was the total cost of the charging operation that I did during the day. So now I'm back at home in the comfort of my house. I can take advantage of the solar panels and the energy that is being generated from it. I can take advantage of the energy insights that are provided by my smart meter. I also communicate with my inverter. And obviously this complements the journey of the day, right? Where we have seen electric mobility in action, where we have seen green energy being generated from my solar panels, and of course where we can also take advantage of the energy insights that are provided by the smart meter that I have installed at home.
So with that, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you everyone for listening patiently. If there are any questions, we are happy to look at them and try to answer. So thanks. Over to you, Mukesh.
Thanks, Mohan. Thanks, Anupam, and thanks, Somnath, for the engaging presentation. I can already see there are a few words of encouragement on the chat. Are there any questions that you have at this point in time for any of the three? If I'll just wait for a minute to see if there are any questions. If anyone has any question, maybe you can just unmute yourself and ask your question. Looks like not. So we do really want to bring more topics, more interesting topics that are of relevance for this community. So if there are any topics that you think you want us to bring to you, whether it is SAP product related, SAP partner related, SAP startups, any particular business area that you want to focus on, we would love to hear from you. I can already see that we are already 5 minutes over time. So I'll just hold on the chat for a couple of minutes. We will share the slides on the WhatsApp group. So if you have not joined the WhatsApp group, I would request you to join the WhatsApp group because the slides will be shared there. I'm going to post the link again here on the chat. And the recording of the session is available on the INDUS YouTube channel. I will also post the link to the recording here just so that if you want to access it or you want to share it with your team members, you can feel free to do so.
So just a small view. Maybe in the next session we can, if we can do that. So what will be the effect of deregulation or privatization on the entire landscape we are talking about? So how deregulation, because shortly I'm sure something is going to happen in this country in next couple of months. Those announcements will come. So how this affects the entire landscape that we are discussing?
Sure, I think that's a good idea, RP. We can do that. And as SAP, we have a lot of experience on deregulation from our customers across the globe who are using SAP solutions. So we can bring that in the next.
Great. Thanks, man.
So I'm going to share the link to the WhatsApp group again on the chat just because I got someone asking for it. And you can join by clicking that link. Thanks, RP sir, for your suggestion for the topic for next session. We will deliberate and figure out that. And if there are no further questions, then I would like to thank. Go on.
So just one question, from my side, Mukesh. Since there are a lot of people here at this stage as well, if somebody has to take it up and share some experience in the next session, that will be also great. Or you want us to provide all the presentation from SAP, or as a utility customer, you can also share your experience. I think we can also debate and finalize on that.
Yeah, I think the idea is not just SAP customers, business experts. You also, whatever content you have on the best practices or challenges, concerns. So you can also bring it on the platform. We can include it in the agenda. So you can reach out to Mukesh, Somnath, and from myself if there are any suggestions. We will definitely incorporate those and accordingly schedule the agenda for next.
Yeah.
So one of the most important things when it comes to a user group is user-generated content. And as Somnath and Mohan rightly said, it'll be more interesting to see what work you have done in your organization. And if you think that's something that we can do, then more than happy to kind of host you in one of these sessions as a speaker. So please do let us know, and we'll kind of schedule it accordingly. The idea is we will do this more regularly, maybe once in 2 months or once in 3 months, so that we can continue to have this conversation, ongoing conversation as well. So with that, if there are no further questions, I can already see people leaving. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And thanks, speakers, for delivering good content. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mukesh, for organizing it.
Thanks everybody. Yeah. Bye.
Thank
Have a good
you.
day.
Thank you, Mukesh. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, bye.